some with some.
Girl, you fly. I got what you. Girl, you fly and ghetto. 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 With them brand new high heel stilettos. Smell like rose petals. Heard you a rock star, heavy metal. Well, I'm a pop star. Let's get together. Ice your neck up, change the weather. She a hot one, like a pepper. And you fly, girl, shake your feathers. Girl, you fly and ghetto. With them brand new high heel stilettos. Smell like rose petals. Heard you a rock star, heavy metal. Well, I'm a pop star. Let's get together. Ice your neck up, change the weather. She a hot one, like a pepper. And you fly, girl, shake your feathers. Girl, you fly and get.
unfortunately.
You put party hats inside the cracker? How does that work? Because I haven't done that either.
Never.
No. Do you get like a party hat as a prize, or there's a hat inside? Is it? There's a hat inside. Is it?
There's a joke inside that are always atrocious.
Okay, true.
Okay, Christmas cracker. Beautiful thing.
Okay.
I'll look at the worst joke. You'll get like nail clippers as well. Those are the most useless little gift in there.
Pretty useful if you have long nails, though, right? There's always a circumstance.
Yeah, but if you have long nails, you won't get the nail clippers. You'll get like a notebook that's like 2 inches wide and 3 pages. It's just useful.
True. Take some notes about personal hygiene, pretty much.
I should cut my nails.
Fastroki Kylie, okay, what is wrong with this team right now? Because when I think about this name, I'm saying, you know, maybe day 2, day 1, they qualify. If not through the pop-off, through the consistency. I always call Fastroki kind of like the invisible demon of EU. You never see how he gets all the way towards the finals, but he ends up there. I can visibly see this man shining every single qualifier now, but also shining in the wrong ways.
I agree with you on that, right? And I feel like a lot of this is because as a team, they haven't really found a home. It's always on the south side of the map. They've been landing on like the Impossible Rock and some of the qualifiers, which is just obviously kind of to the north of Kondo. They landed in Kondo today. They've been a bit all over the place. And I feel like that not finding a home has just left them a little bit uncomfortable here. I'm still thinking now today, now that they're back in Kondo, they have the whole thing uncontested. Like this is where they started off their FNCS journey. That this could be them in a comfortable spot, right? And you'd think with the South Zone, this should favor them. But looking at it, they're 168 below.
Have to try to find some damage. 94 above now. They're looking fine. And yeah, 3 teams that we usually watch struggle with Surge. Looking really good so far. Fast down, so might be a tough roll for Hardfine, but he finds a trade on the Symmetry. It's looking all good for now. Another team to also talk about, Crazy Nate. I feel like for those two, specifically, they were just on screen moments ago, it all comes down to Nate, right? If he is playing very well on the day, that duo graduates. They get to go to the finals. Stacey solidified in there. But Nate's always that wild card that comes in and either makes that duo one of the best you've ever seen in the world, or sometimes just mediocre.
Yeah, we'll see which mood he's in today. Has he worked? Has he practiced? You know, Nate is a player who's typically, you know, not been a hard worker, but some people out there would suggest that he could be one of the best players in the world as a fragger, hands down, because his game is absolutely unbelievable if he just sat down, put in the work for it. You know, he is the previous SNCS champion from Chapter 2 Season 2 in duos with Andalex, and I want to see it work out, right? I want to see him on top, same, obviously with Snacy being an incredible player.
For the format as well, we do have, like, what, 11-ish teams rolling in overall in terms of looking at, you know, the new in terms of how things look overall. It's like, I think it's 7 total that are actually rocking through, but we'll do the math in a second.
No more
math. What is me and you for some reason, man? It's like, talking about school, we're also just absolutely atrocious on that. But there are a bunch of new teams coming in. Stacey and Nate are one of them. There are a bunch who this is kind of, you know, their first rodeo. You mentioned Rotary as well. Him with Control, it's looking good. They're rocking in too. For a lot of other teams, it's going to be the same old Storm Surge issues. It's going to be a combination of both old and new for Raxus right there. First day, and also one of the teams limited by that Surge problem. They'll have a little bit more experience rolling in. 6 games in total to play today.
It's one of those teams we're seeing, and exactly that huge contestation of Spawn clearly didn't pay off. They weren't able to capitalize on the fact that there were 3 other teams there. Maybe we're going to see in the next couple games these guys starting to get into a couple more fights. On the right-hand your screen, you're seeing Cruel and Kane, a team who's been here, I mean, through it all with us all weekend. Yeah, again, also struggling with Surge. Now going down into the engagement. They're leaving Kane alone as a solo. Still tons of materials left to his name, but not enough damage. The strategy just not there today, not having as many teams contest him off Spawn and Covert.
Cruel had the launch pads as well. One of the weak conditions for them to go straight through. That's 2 pads down to that team right below them. I believe that's Skyzoo. Actually, that's Crazy and Rafa that are bullying them right above. And if they find that body, it's going to be huge. I'm not sure if they have it just. No idea where Kane is either. He's just looking for the roots. I don't know if I need this refresh too. For Crazy and Rafa specifically, we watched them a little bit. Also, we already talked about it. They're also one of those, I believe, day 1 teams, and they've been struggling. But this might be the game. 2 pads next to you somewhere. A chance to just bounce up and go the whole distance. But that side of the zone is also looking completely weak. You look at the left, look at Andretta, look at Fast slot filled up, and also way closer to the zone.
Yeah, I want to see this be their time to shine. I'm not sure if they do have a launch pad on spawn. And this is the time you want to be using it. First move in zone. And they are set up in such a good position in terms of their verticality, their lair to open up as well. We do see the Pepper coming out onto Andrea here. A bunch of players on the left side hitting the launch pad. Now's the time to Pepper. Now's the time to see where things get moving. Storm Surge, no issue at all. So this has to be...
This is their redemption arc right now. They do hit that pad, not blocked. Everyone already just immediately building up. The server so clogged, 50 players rolling in. That's maximum capacity. They're turning now down. I mean, he'll always take damage. I feel like that's his trademark. Every time right before the landing, close will find him too. Fast Rookie Kali, one of the last to fly. Chulex up there too. They actually re-hit the pad. That will be huge. They're basically skipping an entire zone. Look at that timer, 20 seconds. And they're still in the sky. That means a single material.
Lucky because they barely have any to work with. Only Wood now down left onto Fast Roki. This means that the first move in zone is going to have to be a one worthy again to some engagements. Look for those refreshes. Fast Roki on the left trying to go for it. As you see on the right side, Kane goes down there too. Now also 47 below the Storm Surge. But there's so many players at the back of the zone, but the beam comes No, and he's going to go down. There's just going to be Kylie left with 27 builds to himself.
No chance for a bounce back either. This is a maximum pull. I'm not sure if that Pepper did come through. I do see the steam coming out of Kylie's ear, so here we go. He uses 3 shot splashes, but staying in the same spot. I'm not sure exactly if you gained any HP at all, Kylie. It is what it is. He'll have the 50 pot back, but now Storm Surge is also striking. 30 players, so it turns off. Kylie sliding, dipping, dodging, ducking, hitting through every possible build, but he has to be efficient because 272 mats. I mean, he's at the end of the line here, Reese. He needs to find something. It's Chulex and Chico.
We also saw Floyd there going for the high ground. He was one of the players in that piece at the start of the show that said high ground's easy, but it doesn't seem so easy for him quite yet. As we move back over to Kylie, who's getting the whole focus of the lobby right now, sprayed onto his wood wall, down left 3 builds, and he's going to have to try and get out there. The shot's connected to him from above, but he has no shotgun to work with.
This is going to be tough, even at the front side of the zone towards the bottom. Go-Go's and Gilius back and forth over and over. It's like Chulex and Chico finally finding a little bit of space. 3 different layers between them and Bevies down below. It's going to be really good for them to hold on to, but I know there's going to be some surprises. Gilius going down on the left. Ralph is also trying to go for a few clutches. Chico is putting down the pressure down below, but here comes that retake potential. Boofing trying to go for... trying to gain some control of the game, but no, Chico Chulex too strong. Look at the investment though. Only 4 materials on Chico. They've all ended. They need a refresh, and they're just on 1 wood tarp.
There's no ammo to spray from at all up above. They have nothing to work with. Some team is almost definitely going to try and take the high ground as they go back to the low. Clement down with no builds. 1 elimination just named 44 HP down the shields, but can he hit anything? Can he work with? Can he get an angle? He's playing so slow. He's playing so sneaky. Slippery, but no, it's over for Clement.
He gets taken out. That's Kaizen coming in from the left side, and he's also trying to make his job work, but it's not going to be possible. He goes down too. Chulex and Chico have just stayed hidden. I get it. 0 eliminations. I mean, this is perfect for them still. The elims won't matter if they make this game the utmost, absolute, complete, efficient one by getting the victory royale. Chulex and Chico, all they have to do is land a few shots. Chulex has 7 materials with 4 total teams still alive. They need to find something. They have to get into this conversation fast because there'll be so much siphon down below. I still see some hard materials. Nyzen is only at 4 materials too. We get one of the trays on the left side. Looking for the confirmation on the solo towards the right. Bevy's down. See if they land a shot. Chulex is now getting close and personal too. They must be out of materials, and so is Nyzen. They have to get Boofink here. They're looking for a few shots. He does rattle him down, but he chooses to stay with his teammate. Work with that synergy. 2 guns for the price of 1. That's what I'm talking about. Boofink is now down. It's all up. The Chico and Chulex up above, but they've got no mats. It's a final brawl. The showdown comes through. Chulex goes for the 1-for-1. Nyzen is towards the backside. Left side, right hand peek. It's not enough. The Salsa King Chico knows how to dance. That's what I'm talking about. He has the angles, and he has the VR.
That's the one. The 1v1 clutch up back of the zone. The shots mattered. Everyone had 0 builds, almost 0 ammo, but 100% aim connected right there. For Chico Chulex, that is massive. Chulex obviously already being an FNCS champion a couple seasons back. And now Chico, this is the first time for him making it through. And these guys have had a great season so far. I mean, a fantastic season as a duo so far. It's looking good.
It's looking stylish, my friend. That was a stealthy win. We don't get to see that too often. All they did is build up a little bit, shot a few shots, and then we watched Chico dance. That's what I like to see, and they're going straight to the finals.
Yeah, we obviously know Chulex from when he won the FNCS as a high ground player. Interestingly enough, honestly, I've just seen this duo play a ton of low and still managed to pick up the turnout. So it's a little bit of a change up from what I'm used to seeing from them.
Kind of what changed, what stayed the same. A lot more for game 1 to break down with Zeke Levin and Sundown.
Thank you, guys.
guys so much. Great game number one. This comes down to two duos that have been here since session one. Talked about at the top of the show, Sundown. It's a brand new day, but could this experience from day one have helped kind of both of these teams make it in that top two?
I think the experience definitely helps. One of the biggest things is actually being able to win those top twos. And you see, they're a little bit different from all of the other seasons now that the zones are stretched out. We're just trying to go back and use any of the excess materials that were there. But maybe even a little bit of a misplay from Niacin not going immediately for that Siphon to get the drop mats from there. Let's take a look, though, at the victory round, because it really just came out, Levin, because of their high ground control. Not a whole lot of eliminations till the very end.
Yeah, see, you're talking about experience, but, you know, like we said, you know, this is very different to what they've been doing in these past couple of sessions, right? And maybe that is where the experience comes in terms of the switch up. But look, Truelex, he must... Look, crazy, look. I've been trying the low ground. It's not quite working out, bro. Give me the high ground. What I gotta do to get back on the high ground? And it works, right? 2 eliminations. Very rare, right? Well, I'd love to know when was the last time you saw like a 2 elimination victory royale where you literally the only eliminations you get are the ones to win the actual game. This is things we've not seen in a while, but look, congrats to them, of course. They've been playing, they've been slamming it out in these past couple sessions, and I'm sure they'll be relieved to just get over and done with now.
I know, and then you look kind of the other side, right? Kaizen and Niacin, they come down to this 1v1, and on the flip side, these guys have a ton of eliminations, right? I mean, it is kind of weird, Levin, going from 2 to then like looking at almost 7, which would for them would have been 9. It's not traditional, right? Like, we're so used to seeing these high ground teams win. Even like, I would say like the lowest we've seen is like probably 4, but to just get 2, I guess, Levin, you get the 2 that matter, right? You get the 2 that matter, you get yourself a trip to the finals.
Yeah, look, Kaizen and Niacin, they'll be all right, right? 52-point game, that's a massive game. You have to remember, although they didn't get the victory out, like, this is good in terms of being on that leaderboard, in terms of, you know, being consistent, trying to be here at the end of the last 6 games. I think, though, if they're able to set up a refreshes the way they did in this game and consistently do that in endgames, sooner or later they will get their victory out.
Well, that's kind of how it works, right? If the team on high ground isn't pressuring, isn't picking up elims, there's just more for whoever ends up winning in that kind of a low ground scrum. And that went down to Niacin and his duo. Niacin in particular was the one who was finding a lot of those shots and giving his team an opportunity to win the game. And everyone's just kind of holding on, right? They want that victory round, but we got 6 games to play through. Well, 5 now.
5 now, right? And I think for them, right, they did come in second, and it's still like a confidence, right? They're like, yo, we're on it now. We're fired up. We almost got the victory out. We're close. We just have to keep pushing. Just run it back exactly the way we did, right? So, once again, another big congratulations. Chico, Truelex, you guys have found yourselves a seat on the battle bus heading on to finals. But we're still looking at Niacin after that first performance. They're up there in that #1 spot. Other teams, though, Krusty, Relvis, right? Senna, Raid, they're looking good. And I mean, how are we feeling about just the initial, I want to say like this first game, right? I don't like to use this as a test or a feeler, but thoughts on this maybe first initial game, Levin?
Well, for a long time, nobody wanted to actually go down, right? Everybody was trying to stay in this one. A couple teams here, you know, Senna, Raid, for example, maybe you would have thought they would have snuck in a bit early in some of the other sessions, maybe. But ultimately, Sundown, these standings will change a bunch, right? Like, in terms of who's in that top 6, right? It is going to get very chaotic over the next couple of games, especially after how that first game went. So I'm not going to read into anything just yet, right? Maybe after game 3, ask me again so you can, and I'll give you a bit more into, like, you know, spoiler alerts as to who will qualify. But for now, I'm keeping my cards close to my chest.
Well, one of the things I always look like when we're looking at that leaderboard is what do the points look like in 6th place? And currently in 6th place was a duo that I actually wanted to talk about a little bit yesterday, didn't get the opportunity to, was Till and Julian Common. Till's actually been having a really solid season, kind of sneakily. We've seen him in nearly every important, and they've put up results. Now, they did miss kind of that first duo pool there, but so far, 32 points in 6th place. The general pace for the regions that have been broadcasted has been right around kind of 25 or 26 points in those 5-game sessions, so they're just above that, but also our first place is double that pace, so they're going to feel pretty good about it.
Till won the first Cash Cup of the season, right? And I think from there, right, it was signs that he is, you know, sort of putting himself in a position where he is going to start getting a bit more respect, but you have to deliver now. If you don't make it to the FNCS finals, you know, what are we doing then at that point, right? So, huge couple of games coming up for them.
That's right, boys. I mean, look, we still have 5, right? Again, game 1 is just to feel as a tester. You know, let's check everything. Let's check the routes. Let's check the duos. Let's check our settings. Now the competition begins. Okay, game 2 is going to be very different. We may still see a lot of duos remaining, but as far as action, we're going to turn it up a notch. So let's get back over with our casters and priests and Shy Wager. This is game number 2.
Thank you, Zeke. Thank you, Levin. Thank you, Sundown. Game number 1 is it. Great feeler out to figure out. We saw a lot of the top teams, a lot of the teams that we thought would go through, kind of go down a little bit early, struggle with the surge. That was probably one of the most stacked games that we've ever seen in EU history. And I'm wondering, do you think game 2 is going to be the same?
I think that theme definitely crosses over towards game 2, and even from the early. Now, Reese, right? No one is dominating anyone else. There's some people just picking up the scraps left and right, rationing eliminations 24/7. I feel like it's a completely different Fortnite, and we won't see this in the finals either. It's a very special treat for the last day of semis.
Yes, because everyone's looking for the win at the same time. Like I mentioned in that first game, some of these players, you know, they're just trying to make their first FNCS files. The nerves are kicking in. I think that first game's maybe going to kick them into overdrive a little bit, where they're going to be a little bit more comfortable now. They know the lay of the land. They know where the teams are around them. They know who's contesting. And they know where they can land to take advantage of that. So I think, you know what, 12 minutes before, like, we saw Wolfie and J-Mop go down, or J-Mac go down, that was like so deep into that game, and it was only team number 48. So it's like super stacked.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you're talking about the lay of the land. I feel like it's also been the same from day 1 to day 3. Rocky Reels, desert, 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 sun, sun, sand, sand. I want to see some mountainous snow. You know what I'm saying? I want to go all the way up to Logjam Lumberyard. I want to see exactly what the north is looking like. I think we have like 2 games there in total. But speaking of 2 games, game number 2 is live now. Let's jump right in and see where we land from all of us.
Semi-finals, day number 3. 2 of 6. Game 1, as we already set up, was an absolute blast. No pun intended production. We'll see in where we're starting off. We are number 1.
Winning so hard that this team has disappeared off the island. This is the first time we look at the spot, like at least this early in the games. Completely uncontested.
I mean, this spot has literally been contested. Qualifier 1, Qualifier 2, Semis day 1, Semis day 2, and now this is the first time I've seen it uncon. So you're very, very correct in saying that.
It's wild, man. I'm used to watching a crazy fight go into like a 2v1 that's not supposed to be close at all. And then it just happens again. There's already 3 duels going down a very different game. Snazy and Navy talked about, yo, let's get these guys online. Okay, Silk, he's going to become a trapeze artist, it looks like. A little bit of circusry going on right there. I like it. Stylish, but he probably doesn't like it as much as Snazy does. A free elimination, that team will be basically having to get a card that's all the way up in the sky.
Ooh, this is important. No, this is not what we saw last game. We saw Mixon obviously going down to Surge, really struggling out because they didn't get into any of these engagements right now. But hold on, he's piecing up Skyzoo right now. You're trying to make him think second without getting that knock. I'm thinking this was a knock outside Sky. That's potentially going to be the finish coming down. No, not yet. Jock's now trying to go in as well. Trying to hit the shot that he can. This is such an awkward fight to try and box up on the stairs. The big shots connect and it's over. So Skyzoo and Jock's now, it's going to be, I think both eliminations go in their favor as well. 2 straight off the bat, cleaned out their side of Tilted Towers already. Already such a different game from game number 1.
Absolutely. I'm seeing 1 less sniper shot in Skyzoo's inventory as well, so I'm wondering maybe that was, you know, the start to all this. Maybe a very well-placed shot right before in the sky, maybe even, or when it was landing. Could be a highlight reel, but we'll tune it in just a second. Still a pretty stacked game, because usually, what, 86, 85 players, but at this point, it's still 91. We saw that first echelon of, you know, 10 players, 6 players going down in the lobby, and this is with 1 less team playing overall as well, right? 1 team qualified, the lobby will be automatically smaller, but it's still looking just as large.
It's potentially the players just don't want to engage. You know, Kadu and Frey, we saw yesterday some terrible engagements down on the southwest side of the map. Just team after team. It was Vortex, Sia's team that was coming in. They were fighting game after game, and they've decided to switch up to the Sanctuary now, and it seems to just be a little bit more passive for them. They've teams here. Lotix and Sindri had a kind of a similar feeling where they were just fighting Restguard and Scram yesterday, but it doesn't seem like their inventory has benefited from them not being in the lobby.
Yeah, I feel like their nerves are also kind of on high gear right now. That MK7 is very easy to be able to track and just, you know, rail down enemies, especially now looking right back at you, only getting about 40 damage off of an engagement like that. Lotix has to be just, you know, beating himself down currently right now.
Imagine if they gave that to you, the AR master. That's a 150 damage right there. That's 150 easy.
They might just give me the victory royale just, you know, just to get me out of the lobby straight up off of
straight to finals.
Shotgun though, I can't use those. That's you, right? You're the shotgun expert. No,
I can't have
are
a
you the
shot
piece
with any
control
gun.
expert? I feel like I'm seeing a little bit of piecing. Yeah.
I'll piece everyone up, and then I'll be that guy who's in the box, and I'll just like do a 180 and miss the shot. I'll be looking the wrong direction. Like my eyes, you know, they're starting to deteriorate as time is going on. So once you get in the box, I'm blurred. I'm blurred out. So the piece happens, it's all there in the muscle memory. The game, you know.
That's where we need Levin, right? I play with this guy, and like I feel like he doesn't have shotgun, and then he has boxing gloves. You get in the box with him, you are not going to be able to see for the next few days. It gets crazy.
Bro, did a plug for Legends Landing? You're watching in game. Hello, firstly. Secondly, there's a nice little box fighting arena you can go into there, where Levin continually hit me with a shot, despite the fact I boxed him every time.
That's what I'm talking about. Slick segue too. It was fun, man. I went in yesterday. A few of my friends were there too. Oh yeah, checking it out. Yeah. Sometimes. Kind of Floki though.
Were you like, you know, with a little delay? Were you in there like, that's me?
Oh, I was like, you know, watching a side stream. Yeah, so I was in there, but I wasn't in there, you know?
Yeah. In the business. Yeah.
You know when you have a story, you just have to make it like slightly more outrageous, just so it fits the narrative. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I did that.
Our entire jobs. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Oh man.
This game's slowed down a ton right now as well. We got to look at this. This is a lot of teams. Kovacs and Formax were the first team to go down in the previous match, going down 50th off spawn here in Shell or High Water to Sindri. This game, they seem to have disengaged a little bit, figured out exactly the tactics of the other team. But this is just one of those scrappy fights that we saw. It's such a weird place to fight as well. Like, we saw it basically day after day in the semis. We've seen it in the qualifiers as well. Teams are consistently fighting over this area. It is not worth it, boys. It is just not a split worth fighting for. You know, you might as well be one of the tilted teams. I'm not going to lie.
Honestly, it just feels like a very awkward, anxious spot where, like, you expect movement and it's not happening. Kind of like when you have like a lot of groceries in a grocery aisle and the person's not pushing the conveyor belt to get your items. They're like, do I have to move them up? You know, do I have to do something as Lepshi right now, or will the other team actually move my items up to get scanned? That's the real question.
And that's why we go to self-service. You got to do it yourself sometimes. You just got to make sure it works out. If it's not working out for the team, you got to put that plan in action yourself.
Gotta input the numbers for the produce yourself, which is also super tough. End up just not buying vegetables, you know what I mean? And that's not good. You gotta get your nutrients, so. Alright, Clubzy cheating. They're rocking right now. Worst example, by the way, in that scenario is when, like, you know, back in the day, obviously, when I was younger, I was with my mother, groceries. Now we live ourselves as grown men, obviously, yes. But she's like, you know, gotta get that extra item. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a 10-minute delay, and you're there, sitting as a young
racing. Where the Glove was in the middle of this fight right here as he's picked up that first elimination. On to Mr. J again, the team that went down 48th in the previous game. Now 46th in this game, so a little bit deeper in. Unfortunately, not deep enough to get the placement points.
Listen, if the format had, like, what is it? Maybe 40 games today? Yeah, they could get first with this type of pace. Not gonna lie, you know?
They could just keep it up. I mean, they've been an incredibly aggressive team, and what's interesting is, like, you know, consistency with 4 games left. Are they going to win again? I think they could. Are they going to get that consistency at the top 6? With the 2 games, basically 0 points so far? I don't think so. You know, I think they won a game in qualifier 1, if I'm to be correct. Maybe it was qualifier 2. So they definitely have the potential. They're like a very aggressive high ground or nothing kind of team. And, you know, we've kind of seen that playstyle a lot of times just reflects in their playstyle in mid and end game as well.
Definitely does. Confident is the one thing, right? But sometimes that overconfidence is how you end up making a few mistakes, getting taken out. And I feel like Crazy and Ralph are basically the complete embodiment of that too. Very confident and always all inning. They never make decisions that kind of leave them halfway between 2 spots. They pick the right choice, or we'll see them in the next game. So,
yeah. I'm actually really interested to see now because, you know, we kind of mentioned their off-spawn difficulties they've had repeatedly up at the 7 outpost over to that northwest side of the hills here. This is the first game that we've seen them with contestation, the loot absolutely stacked. They've got the Spider-Man's web shooters. I want to see if these guys are a finals level team. Can they actually put the plan into action when it matters?
That's kind of the first time they don't have a curfew, right? Like, usually they're only allowed to play a certain amount of the game, but if you have experience with that, Reese, it's like, you honestly don't know what to do some of the times. You're like, okay, the sun's down, but I'm still out. Like, do I keep, driving around? Am I still chilling with my friends? How does life work? And for Cruel, Kane, oh my goodness, what a shot from Cruel. And Kane also wraps it up. From teams, 12th overall yesterday on the board, or 7th, whichever way you look at it. They were right there in qualifying, just a few points behind. I think Zeke pointed it out at the end of the show. If they got this one elimination inside their box, they would have had a chance to play the end game, where so many people just graduated and qualified.